So this week we have been analyzing graphs of functions. We've looked at domain and range, x and y intercepts, intervals of increasing and decreasing, relative extrema, and symmetry. So the following are the 4 examples I gave you to review. Let's take a look at how to work them out. So for the first example, we use the graph of f to determine each of the following. So I've put it all on here and we can talk about it. So the domain for this graph would be from negative infinity to infinity because it goes from the left forever and all the way over and to the right forever with nothing stopping the graph. There's no points that are undefined, nothing that x cannot equal. So it's negative infinity to positive infinity for our domain. The range goes from -4 and it can equal -4, so I put a bracket. And then it would go up to infinity because this arrow indicates it would go up forever. So even though this side of the graph is constant, the end of this graph would show that it would increase forever. So our range would go from -4 to positive infinity. So then our x-intercepts are where it crosses the x-axis. So that would be at 1 and 7. I just wrote them as ordered pairs. And our y-intercept is simply right here at the point 0, 4. So then we have intervals on which f is increasing, decreasing, and constant. Our graph is increasing where it looks like it's going uphill. So here we have a constant interval from negative infinity to x equals 0. So I'll put that down here for the constant interval. Right at 0, it starts to go down, and it goes down until it gets to 4. So we could say it's decreasing from 0 to 4. And again, we're just looking at the x value to pick out our interval. We're not worried about the y value. Then it's increasing from that point on to infinity. So we would say from x equals 4 to infinity, our graph was increasing or going uphill. Remember, don't include the point where the direction changes. So that's why these are all parentheses around our intervals. Then we have a relative minimum at the point 4, -4, and we have no relative maximum. So then we can look at evaluating. I asks us to find f of -3. So normally we could plug that into an equation, but all we're given is the graph. So that means find the value of f of x where x equals -3. So if you go to x equals -3, then on our function, y equals 4. So that's all we had to do for that part. For j, it said find f of x equals -2. So that means where y is equal to -2, what would x equal? So we go to y equals -2, and we find that x would be 2 and also 6. So we put both values down there. And the last question for this example was the symmetry. Is there any symmetry, and is it even, odd, or neither? This one would be neither. We can tell just by looking at it that we certainly cannot fold this in half and get an equal 2 sides. So part of it is symmetrical, but this little piece over here takes away the fact that this would have been symmetrical about anything. So it's definitely neither, and it's not odd or even.